Welcome to the Arn Show. Arn, I can't help it. I just got a big grin and cold bumps every time I watch that intro, man. I am so glad that you are all with us today. It's the second time we've gotten to play that opener, and man, I'm just thrilled and humbled to be able to host the show with you every single week. Let me get into it, though. I'm joined by the Hall of Famer, the creator of the Spine Buster, the founding member of the Four Horsemen, and one of the toughest men to ever step foot in the squared circle. He's my friend. He's double A. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you this week?
Well, you're getting a lot of good press over that open. My friend David Yarbrough down in Jacksonville, who's been around business probably just about as long as I have, really enjoyed it. He even suggested that we roll right into like 6:05 to 8:05 on the podcast to fall by. That's how much he enjoyed the open. So
maybe we start at 6:05 instead of 6 o'clock here on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, I mean, all good ideas. Who knows? But so thanks, Dave, for that. I always appreciate your friendship, and he's a good man. Hopefully, you can meet him in person one day. He's one of the good guys.
Yep. Nope. Just thinking would love to meet him at some point. Sounds good. But to your point, I was scrolling through the YouTube feedback. Always try to check out the comments and see what our listeners, those that can't be with us live and share feedback with us every week, which, by the way, our group is back in full force. It's so great to see so many of the comments already flooding in. Can't wait to get to all of you tonight. But I love to go back and read the comments. For those that can't watch the show necessarily at 6 o'clock on Tuesdays, they watch it on their own schedule, and a lot of great feedback and comments. But to your point, that opener, it hit different for a lot of those folks, gave them that Saturday morning chill from back in the 80s. And that's what we're going for, man. We get to relive your history, what you did in the business. We get to watch the WCW YouTube channel, which has a lot of great matches that you're in right now. They're playing the hits over there from 85, 86. And when, again, as we were looking at themes and the music, I was like, man, that is Arn freaking Anderson in my mind. So I'm glad you like it. I'm glad the fans like it too.
Ditto.
Well, listen, we're back together again for the September 9th show. It's a lot going on. And before we jump into tonight's history lesson, let's hit a couple of quick things. You've got some appearances coming up, you and Brock. And so I know folks are always interested where you're going to be. And Arn, the weekend of your birthday, that's right, this is your birthday month, September 20th. Is another big birthday for you. But that weekend, you're going to be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, at SuperCon, spelled like Sioux Falls, SuperCon. I have a graphic. I'm going to put it up on the screen for all of you. But I know you're excited about spending your birthday weekend with the fans out there in South Dakota.
Absolutely, and I haven't been there, and it's kind of it's in the middle of the country, and it's up there, kind of close to Canadian border. Not really, but kind of close enough that it's a little difficult to get through. So I'm going to have a long travel day to get there. But I hadn't been there in so long. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be really good.
Yeah, Arn, so a big appearance for you guys there. And then speaking of big appearances, I have to start putting it over. You and Brock also have a big time appearance in November. We love it. It's WrestleCade at the end of November, right after Thanksgiving. It's a Thanksgiving tradition for many wrestling fans. And Tracy, Brian, and so many people behind the scenes put that together. Friends of the show, Mike Calandro, others that I get to see and connect with, all working hard to put that event together. I know this is one of your favorites to do every single year.
It is as good a show as you will attend with any company. They do a great job. Winston-Salem is a great host. A lot of talent there. I mean, it really is. Everything's close. It's see guys you haven't seen and young ladies and, 2 decades. So it's really good. Let me just throw one thing in so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. The 26th of September, the 27th, and the 28th, we're going to be in Franklin, Tennessee, which is a huge sports collectible. A lot of the Braves and, LT, A lot of top talent going to be there. I'm going to be there on those days, and that's Franklin, Tennessee, coming up pretty quickly. 19th, 20th, 21st.
So 19th,
Oh, no.
yeah, 19th you'll be in Sioux Falls, and then the following weekend, Franklin, right?
Yeah, 26th, 27th, and 28th. So I will be there, Franklin, Tennessee. Can't wait.
It's funny because the last time we talked, Arn, you were, hey, I am just going to be sitting my butt watching some football in September. But all of a sudden, the calendar business just picked up for you.
Yeah, imagine that. So this many people all at once want to some reason see me. I am more than happy to see them.
Man, it's so cool. And so I'm glad too. Your calendar filling up. And this is such a great time of the year too. Not only the wrestling conventions, but it's getting to be that time of the year, the fall season. You know what fall means? Fall means things that are a little bit heavier, thicker than t-shirts. But it's the time of season you and I like, where you can wear those quarter zips, those jackets, those Horsemen jackets. They're back on the website, by the way. For all of you who haven't gotten your hands on the jackets, you can check them out on the Four Horsemen store. Click on Four Horsemen. Arn, you like how I handled that whole transition there right into the shop?
You are smooth, brother.
I don't know about that, but listen, guys, check it out. We have rotated the merchandise. We brought the tank tops down at the bottom of the site, rotated the quarter zips and the sweatshirts and the jackets, and that classic Horseman jacket. I have mine right behind me. I always display it on the show. I'm telling you, this is embroidered Horseman logo. It's a beautiful jacket. I get so many compliments, Arn, when I wear this thing out. I know you love yours.
Yeah, me too. I'll wear it around town, back and forth to the gym. Now that it's cooled off a little bit, people always say, man, that's good work. It really is professional work. Good stuff.
Yeah, top shelf product. We're really proud of it. So check it out. The other thing we're going to obviously continue to talk about, because limited of these remain, and that is the comic book. We have sold, I can't believe the numbers already, the first month that we've already sold, but we want to continue to move these comic books because, Arn, when they're gone, they are gone. This isn't like the paperback where there was just, a plethora of made. These were the hardcovers that were only for the Kickstarter campaign. That campaign ended, and we had an opportunity to get our hands on the vault copies. And not only did we get our hands on the vault copies, as pictured on the bottom left, you signed every single one of them when I was with you in Charlotte. And we are getting those in people's hands left and right. I know every time Marcus pushes one out on social media, at least 5 sell. It is not going to be, too much longer here. They're going to be gone. And like you told me the other day on the phone, Arn, when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Not going to print anymore. There'll be some, obviously there'll be some of the paperbacks available wherever we are.
Sure.
And through our site and all that. But as far as the top shelf hardcover, they're about gone.
They are. So listen, we appreciate your support. I know Rob Hissam got his, shipped his out. Remember, he was in the chat a few shows ago saying he was going to get 5 of them. Hey, yep. He picked up his copy. He was faithful and he grabbed his copy. So Rob, we hope you enjoy it. And we appreciate it. Guys, listen, guys and gals, I see many of you here, as I said at the top of the show, throw in your super chats. I know we're here to talk about April 1996, but we want to get to as many of your questions as possible as we sit here around the virtual living room of Arn Anderson. I wanted to talk about one more thing before we get into the meat of the show, Arn, and that's this coming Saturday. We got a big college football game coming up at 3:30 Eastern time. The Georgia Bulldogs, number 6 in the country, they're traveling in to Rocky Top, Tennessee, to take on the number 15 ranked Volunteers. Arn, what are you thinking of this big game for the Bulldogs?
I'm thinking Tennessee over the past few years have upgraded their program tremendously. And the Georgia Bulldogs last week were flat. Now, the week before, they ran up the score 48. They looked like, against Marshall, they looked like the old Georgia football team that just dominated with their tailbacks. A little bit flat. Should have been a bigger score margin between the last week. Got to give them credit, man. Austin Peay played like, they came to play. And it was a lot more competitive than it should have been. but I still look forward to seeing. I'll watch every play, big time.
You know what I love, first of all, not only this is going to be a great game, and I'll admittedly, I am not as much of a college football fan. I know people right now are probably like, this guy's an idiot, as I do follow the NFL. NFL, all in, all games, watching the package, home on yards. College, when it's a big matchup like this, I'm going to tune in and watch. But I know that there are a lot of folks that it's religion. This is going to be one I'm tuning in for, Arn. So I can't wait to see, and I hope it delivers. These big matchups, you just want to deliver as kind of an outsider. You want to see it competitive, kind of like that game the other night that we were talking about. What was that? The Ravens and Bills on Sunday night. Talk about a game that delivered.
What a last quarter, huh?
Oh,
Good
my
Lord.
goodness.
I mean, I love those kind of games where they're high scoring. I don't look at that as the offense dominating the defense. Man, listen, nothing sucks worse than a 6-3 game. That's a baseball score.
Yeah,
you know
no,
I mean?
thank you. I'm with you.
Even if it's my team playing, that gets real old real quick. So, that pro game just the other night, man, God almighty. If you went to bed on that one or left the stadium like some people did, shame on you. The rib is on you, because by God, that last quarter was exciting as it could be.
One thing you learned, and if you haven't figured it out yet, don't go to bed early when Josh Allen's playing in a football game if they're losing, because
It'll make you regret it. That's for sure.
now you got that. Listen, I've just made we have different tabs here while we're recording, and I was in the tab where I was sharing some media and some pictures and that in the shop. I came over to the comments section, and we have got a group of people over here, the family. We're going to call them the family. That's over here. We are so many comments deep here. A lot of happy birthday to you. Yambag Jones is here. He said, you don't look a day over 55, my friend. Paulie, same goes for you. Yambag, here you go. Already stirring it up. Mediocre Warriors here. Ryan, Daisy Mama, CG, all the folks are here. Rob Hissam. Listen, great to see all of you. There's just so much through this thread. D Nexus 1, my brother. He says, I like your shirt, Paul. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Darren Staley is here. So I'm just trying to keep up with all these folks. It's so great to see many of you. Darth Payne's in the house. And wow. Paul just praised Josh Allen. I'm telling, and no, I'm not even going to say that name on the air. Don't you dare, Mediocre Warrior. Love all you guys. Appreciate you being here. Throw your questions in the chat. I just had to scroll through so quick to see so many of you and your comments. Don't forget Super Chat. It's a good way to help support Arn as well. Money goes completely to him and supporting him in his, what we learned last week, fully retired lifestyle. And as the Yambag says, though, Arn, one thing you'll learn, you can always go to bed early when the Cleveland Browns are playing. And he's a Cleveland Brown fan. He's a Cleveland Brown fan.
Who?
Yambag is a Cleveland Brown fan.
Well, it kind of fits, doesn't it? Yambag in Cleveland.
Pop me. CG says, Paul, we got to get Arn a shirt with Smokey. Don't forget about that. How's Smokey doing this week? He was a star last show.
He was kind of hanging out down here a while ago, and I think Mama took him upstairs.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to give him too much. One run in's probably enough. Leave him wanting more.
You know, it was funny. And after that show, Erin actually sent me a text and said she just saw right after our show that it was actually National Dog Day. So it was the perfect time to debut Smokey on the show.
Yeah, and I would have put it over a lot stronger being a dog person. How did I miss that?
I don't know. I didn't know either.
It was just a coincidence that he did the run in on that day. It wasn't planned.
Daisy Mama says, we want Smokey or we riot. LOL. So listen, Smokey's over.
Smokey is upstairs and probably in a coma about right now.
I went back and I got to admit, I watched that part like 2 or 3 times, Arm, where you were talking about that dog just struts ass, doesn't give anybody else any other dog the time of day. You were just, it was awesome.
He don't put anybody over. He's the biggest snob.
Oh, so good. So much fun. And you know what? That's what sometimes makes these shows the best. Is just the stuff that you don't plan and prepare for. And so it was a lot of fun. We got our first super chat, so we're going to go to it, and then we're going to jump into April. I promise all of you we will do that. And it's Darren Staley. If Arn could be any breed of dog, which dog breed would he be?
Well, if you kind of think about it, I was just an average size guy for the wrestling business. I was not one of the big monsters that, just was a lot bigger and more overshadowing of the other talent. I was just like your average guy. So I guess that would put me down in that medium sized dog. The first dog that Aaron and I had was Sammy. He was a Cocker Spaniel, and he was beautiful. Looked like a show dog. So I guess I would have to be a Cocker Spaniel show dog, middle of the road size-wise.
Cocker Spaniel. Now, what color was your Cocker Spaniel? Because I had one as a kid too. I had a black one.
It was like a cream.
Okay. Like a golden. I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
golden brown. Oh, that's awesome.
He was the sweetest dog. He was the sweetest dog. Really was.
Yambag had you as a pit bull for sure.
Well, that's anybody that's not a badass that kind of has to have a killer dog on his lap to make him bad. I don't need that.
Well, some of your promos though, you came off like a pit bull.
Yeah. Well, hey, that was, I talk a hell of a fight. That's for sure.
Michelle Steam says, happy early birthday, Arn. I just wanted to say I love you guys. And since the last show you were talking about the gathering, I got my ultimate super ticket for next year. I'm finally going for the first time. Michelle, we hope to meet you there. And I already said we, because Arn, I got the bug. So I'm going to probably try to come back down.
Brother, you're all the way in now, buddy. You are part of the business. You were not a fringe guy anymore. You were in the inner circle. You were part of the community. So welcome.
It was great to be there and just to interact with so many, just the talent and just all the folks that were there. And I hope to see many of you there. Now Cocker Spaniels, they're all throughout the chat. Ryan says they're a great dog. CG had one, a black and white one. Yeah, so Darren, he obviously loved his Cocker Spaniel. So there you go. Efren, also big fans of the Cocker Spaniel for different reasons. Daisy Mama, pity, they're so sweet. Pit Bull's got a bad rap. My pity Daisy, her pit bull is a big baby. So there you go. So lots of good dog talk already, but guys,
well, I can't leave. There's one we got to include.
Okay.
After Sammy, we got our first. Well, Smokey. His name was Petey.
Okay.
He was the color kind of one of the red Pomeranians. You know what I mean? Have you seen those?
Yes.
The reddish ones are really pretty. We got him, and we had him for a long time. And this was before we got Smokey. So now they all got a plug.
I love it. Now listen, research guy, Andrew, don't get too hot under the collar. I know it's 20 minutes in. We got 40 minutes left. But the dog talk is over, okay? So just know that going forward. Now people are talking about German Shepherds. Michael Jensen said next to Ask Arn, it's just all about dogs. So
well, guys, go back to the pandemic. The dogs served or any pets for that matter, served a huge purpose in us getting through that. Wasn't allowed to go out, wasn't allowed to do anything. Nobody could come in. They're part of the family. And I've always been a dog person. So sorry, folks, I didn't mean to get dog heavy, but they're just like one of my kids.
Maybe we'll do a watch along. All dogs go to heaven. We could watch Lassie. We can listen. If dogs are what all of you want, we'll figure it out. All right.
Please.
Yeah, dogs are over. We like dogs, we like food, and we like football on the show. So any of those topics will take us
makes us well-rounded, doesn't it?
Definitely well-rounded.
It's just not wrestling. Wrestling beat it over the head.
I know. So talk to me about the Giant. Well, let's do it. We have to, because people are here for the first, they're wrestling fans. So we are going to give you some of that. We are going to talk about the Giant. So you know who else is a dog guy? And Ryan's perfect. Tony Schiavone loves his dog.
Big time. He's got
You
a
guys
puppy.
are keeping me going with this in the chat, by the way. So I'm blaming every single one of you. This is all of your fault. Go ahead.
Tony's got a few. It's always had like 2 or 3. How he managed that, I don't know. Lois must have gave him the high hardwood or something. But one's about all we can handle at a time.
He's got a kennel at his house. I mean, he'll show Instagram videos. There's 5 dogs going to town over a treat. Now, that's a bit much for me, but whatever people like, that's cool.
Okay.
And now Yambag wants to know, what kind of dog would Elegante be if he were, I mean, you knew it was coming.
Oh, a big clumsy Saint Bernard.
Oh, man.
And I'm sure they're not clumsy, but they're just huge and just, yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, guys, we got to get it done. Let's talk a little bit about shifting the gold, April 1996. Arn, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right. We're rolling back the clock, guys. April 1996. Nitro was still young in its infancy. WCW's building momentum. And this was the month where the table set for massive changes. Okay, let's talk about it. Hogan is still in that superhero role. Ric Flair's carrying the big gold. And the Giant, who we just talked about, was on the cusp of breaking through. And he actually does this month. He wins the world title, which we'll get to. So here we're going to start talking about a little bit. I thought, Arn, we would kick it off. And I want all of you, if I can get you out of talking about Dobermans and Smokey, to talk about the Nitro legacy. Because, Arn, I don't know if you realize this or not. Nitro just celebrated its 30-year anniversary. 30 years ago in September was the 30th anniversary that Monday Nitro debuted.
The one in Mall of America.
Yep, that night, Mall of America.
30 years.
Can you believe that already? 30 years ago.
No, not really.
You were there at the start, buddy. I mean, you were there.
I was on the very first one, and I remember being in awe of the Mall of America, just looking around, because people basically could just stand where they wanted to, and watch that show. It had that wide open, being at an NFL game feel to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And listen, Fall Brawl 95, which was soon after that, Flair, that was you and Flair. And that was 2 weeks into the Nitro run that match everybody talks about 30 years ago, man. Did Nitro force Vince, in your mind, as we think about it, as we reflect back 30 years ago, do you think it forced him to compete and make a better product, or do you think it made life a little harder for the boys?
No, I don't think when it initially took off, he thought that we had a chance. That's his confidence level in his product, and rightly so. There was nothing else close, and you would venture to say, as far as clarity and production values and star power and just overall marketing, besides the wrestling end of it, it's hard to say that, if anybody will ever knock that company off the top of the, top of the totem pole. But I don't know. It's hard to know what went through his head at that particular time, but I don't think he was worried.
Yeah.
Because we were too far behind at that time.
I gotta ask, because Mediocre Warrior just asked a phenomenal question, as always, in the chat. Arn, after the show, that first show, Mall of America, did you get a big bowl of pasta from Pasta Mania?
Absolutely not. I probably drank about a dozen Miller Lights.
No pasta for you.
No pasta. No time for the pasta.
No.
I mean, we were on a high. That was one of those shows that was so awesome. Just everything about it, that eating was not my high priority at that time.
Yeah, Michael Jensen says, and by the way, welcome, Smokey. I can hear you back there. He said, I know it was about 6 months earlier, but that Lex Luger debut, walking through the mall crowd, was something special. Man, that's the first thing everyone thinks about when you think about that show. Luger coming in from the back, just because of the tight time frame with his being a part of the WWF.
Yeah, big time.
Yep, big
And
time.
because he had just been on their show earlier
Yeah.
in the week, right?
Yeah. Just been on.
That's shock value. I mean,
Yeah.
because how did that happen?
You talk about a tone center for what this show's going to be about and transform to. That's the tone setter.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a super
because you
chat.
just don't expect it, you know?
Yeah. Super chat coming in from Darren Staley. He's got the wallet out tonight, so we're going to keep coming to you, Darren. In 96, I hadn't watched wrestling since 87 or 88. 96 to 98 got me back into it. Such a great era for wrestling. Not Crockett great, but still great. And this is the time period that we're talking about here, 96 to 98. We're going to start talking about the build and NWO coming in and really what transformed the business. So Darren's right. I mean, this is when WCW, this time frame, really captures the attention for even people that aren't paying attention to wrestling and pulls them in.
Yeah, I mean, when it flames up, but it used to be every 10 years you would go through a lull and then the business would change and it would flame up again. But this time it was at a whole nother level because, again, no matter what you say, having Hogan be the third guy was just shocking.
Yeah.
Again, that's one of those that nobody saw coming. If they claim they did, they're full of shit.
There you go. Let's talk a little bit as we transition out of the 30-year anniversary of Nitro. Let's get back into April 1996. And before we do, we'll talk about how we wrapped up March. And we talked about Uncensored. Coming out of that, the Giant earns a title shot against Ric Flair. And on March 25th in Huntsville, Flair defends the world title, and the match will break apart, Arn. He choke slams Flair. Liz and Woman try to help. You run in with a chair. Sullivan gets choke slam. You laugh at him getting choke slam, but then the Giant plants a choke slam on you, and he walks out, leaving everybody laying. I got to ask, do you think that fans are buying Ric Flair? And listen, it's Ric Flair, so we were all in on Flair, but him one-on-one with the Giant just looked incredible. He was in the best shape of his life at this point. He could destroy everybody. He was destroying everybody.
I don't think anybody thought if it was a one-on-one and it stayed one-on-one that anybody had a chance. I mean, just looking at the guy, including Rick, but they also knew Rick had accomplices, and in the back of everybody's mind, they thought, well, once he gets in real deep trouble, deep water, here comes the cronies and his buddies, and that's always in the back of their mind. That's how he was able to stay champion all that time, because he had a safety net.
A posse. Always had a group or something, or
a
leg on the rope, a horseman, leg to the crotch, leg on the rope, a horseman member, Liz. I mean, it always had something going on, for sure.
That's how he kept his heat.
Yeah, for sure. This is a fun little nugget that our research guy pulled up, and I think you'll get a kick out of this. Saturday night, WCW Saturday night, March 30th, that was taped in Rome, Georgia. You wrestled Steve Armstrong in the opener. Card is completely stacked. We got Flair, Sting, Harlem Heat, Eddie Guerrero, the Giant, everybody. What was it like? And I don't know if you remember this. We're talking 30 years ago. Do you remember being back in your hometown or ever wrestling in Rome?
Oh yeah. I was kind of looking around with see if I could spot any cops with paperwork in their hand, in case there was some pending discretion that one of those years that I ran pretty wild around Rome. Yeah.
I think it would be so cool.
Too small a town to show my ass, and I will never be able to apologize enough to the inhabitants of that city. I pretty much ran amok with my cronies before I got in the business, so it was just stepping into the Horsemen deal was just like a next step.
It's got to be special, though, to be able to wrestle in your hometown. We're not talking Atlanta. We're not talking a big city. This is Rome, Georgia, and you get to go back and wrestle there where everybody in the crowd knows at this point, that's your hometown. So it's just got to be a cool feeling to be able to have that opportunity, I would think.
Um, if I could go back and feel what I was feeling that time, I remember walking around the ring before the bell actually rang to see if I could spot anybody that I knew, that was in the crowd. And if it was them, they weren't causing a big enough ruckus that I would have grabbed my attention. And but to be honest with you, we got done before the show was over, so there wasn't anybody like hanging around out back. That we got on up the road back to Atlanta because we had something the next day too. So we got on out of there, and
Yeah.
there would have been that chance of anybody, just like I used to do when I was a wrestling fan, hang out by the back door and meet the wrestlers.
We know how you feel, and then we'll move on to Nitro April 1st. I know how you feel about Brad Armstrong. You've talked about him a lot here on the show, and your respect and love and admiration for him as a friend and also as a worker. What about Steve Armstrong? Ever get to
I was friends with all of them. Stevie was great.
Okay.
Brian was just a kid when I was down there. I think he was like 14 years old when I was wrestling down at 14 months for his dad in Pensacola. He was just a kid. So, but Stevie I worked with as much as Scotty and Brad and Mr. and Mrs. Armstrong, Bullet, and their mom was so good to me, and to have us over and eat and all that stuff. They were just a great family. Just a credit to the business and a credit to Pensacola, Florida in general.
That's the stuff I love to hear you talk about, Arm, personally, is people like the Armstrongs and how you got to spend time and how they were good people. And, that to me, that just kind of, as a wrestling fan who doesn't necessarily always get to see that side of wrestlers, just to hear about good people like that you got to know and work with in the business. Yeah, sure, we enjoy getting to watch them wrestle, but then when you get to hear about, man, that sounds like they could be my family, the Armstrong family, and just mom making great meals and all that. Just love to hear it.
Well, not having any brothers and sisters, I was an only child. My mother was an only child. Doesn't leave a whole lot of room for family. So it was me, my grandmother, and grandfather pretty much for my entire life. And once they passed away, that left me with no family. Didn't really have a relationship with my mother. She chose to get married 5 times, and it was a little too hard for me to keep up with which husband was this one. So, and I don't hold any ill will towards anybody, but it was to be able to share in the Armstrong family and different families that, they become your family in this business. And it's just thankful that they took me in, kind of.
Man, that's so good to hear. I love that. Let's talk a little bit, transition over to the wrestling, because I want to make sure I get all this in, and people were in the chat loving hearing you talk about some of that stuff, and appreciate that. Some folks are just sharing too. Darren Staley, I was also raised by my grandmother, and I think that's another reason that I've always felt a connection to Arn. So just resonates with a lot of people.
They're the best people alive, Darren, because they raise us, and they're not obligated to. They do it out of love, and that's grandparents are the most special people on earth.
No doubt about it. Gets me thinking about my own grandparents for sure. Let's talk a little bit about Nitro, because that's what we're here to do. As much as I would love to talk about that a little bit more. April 1st, Nitro. You and Kevin Sullivan. Man, talk about good people on this show. We're moving from the Armstrong family right into Shorty. You are tag teaming with him, and it's against Hogan and Booty Man. And the finish comes when the Booty Babe, Kimberly, hands Hogan her shoe. He clocks Sullivan and gets the win. But Arn, you and Kevin Sullivan were teaming a lot during this stretch. How did you feel about working with Shorty as a partner? At this point, you were pretty much carrying the workload. But talk to me about the chemistry and the friendship that made this, I'm assuming, made it enjoyable for you.
Well, it was a story of all the bad guys basically were trying to knock Hogan off the top of the ladder, and that was the alliance between Kevin and his crew and the Horsemen. But Kevin was a real good friend, and Nancy, same thing. Got to know them quite a bit when we would go down to Florida to Daytona, and they lived in Daytona. We spent a lot of time together over the hotel pool. And Kevin was just a very, very smart, bright guy as far as the business went. And I learned a lot from him, just watching the way he booked and came up with ideas and strung out angles and all the things that are the inner workings. He was really, really sharp. And let me tell you, he was the Forrest Gump of sports. Ask him anything you want, and he had an answer, just like
baseball, especially.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. He could tell you what Jesse Owens' time was and particular event. And immediately, if you asked him that question, he would have it for you. So.
Even up until before his passing, he still had that encyclopedia style brain on all those topics.
Brilliant guy.
Incredible man. No doubt about it. Mediocre Warrior, I got to share this. He says, the only downside to being raised by my grandparents was every Saturday night I was forced to watch Lawrence Welk. Oh, I love it. How many people remember the Lawrence Welk show? I remember Grandma and Papa Bromwell having that on the old black and white for sure.
How about the Bubbles? Lawrence Welk, who remembers the Bubbles?
Were they like his singers, or I don't remember them, but were they like
Bubbles?
Okay.
Like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was part of the production value.
Got it. Listen, Darren Staley said he used to watch Lawrence Welk with his meemaw. So there you go. This is so good. It's stirring up a lot of stuff here with days with our grandparents for sure.
We can't put them over enough.
You're right.
We spent the whole hour talking about them. For those that have experienced good things with their grandparents, I don't think it would get bored with it.
Not at all. Listen, they were when I think about I know I have one grandparent left, my grandmother, and she's in her 93, 94 years old, and she's outlived my parents, quite frankly. So you talk about precious memories and good people, and sometimes I wish, Arn, too, that I would have gotten them ask more questions about them and their upbringing and influences and things like that. I got to know my grandparents as my grandparents and how they loved me and spend time with me. But I wish I would have been more intuitive. And again, I'm a young kid, so of course I don't. But now as I'm older, I wish I would have asked more. Hey, what was it like when this occurred? Or who was someone that was one of your role models or you looked up to, or just took it a layer deeper than maybe that I got to know them on a little bit of a different level. But that's just me and some of the reflection that I've had because they were such special people.
Well, life is full of mistakes and missed chances. And, as we get older, we wish we had said this or done this, or just simple things. Wished I would have, instead of taking a nap, got up and went and did something with a member of the family, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just, it's just life. That's the way it is. There's such an age gap between grandparents when they're raising you. It's just like nothing really in common other than the love you have for them for raising you and the love they have for raising you. So,
yeah. And this is all good. So many people in the chat are loving this conversation, by the way. So thank you for sharing some of your thoughts too. I do have to ask, as we wrap up the April 1st Nitro, this is talk about trying to be a segue master with this. The Booty Man, were you guys fans of the Booty Man character We all know it was Brutus Beefcake, Ed Leslie, that played this character. Love him, hate him, somewhere in between. I'm just curious, as we start talking more about April 1996, how are you, or where were you at with the Booty Man and the Booty Babe for that fact matter? Where are you guys on those characters? I'm just curious your thoughts there.
Well,
Arn, go ahead, Arn.
the Booty Babe belonged with Paige.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knew they were married, so cat's out of the bag on that deal. And it just, I mean, it was what it was. I had no problem with him, you know, having a free ride, being with Hogan. There's a lot of people said that I'm sure that I had an advantage being friends with Rick. So, you know, it is what it is.
Listen, and for her, it was more of this, let's get the transition. Eventually, she would become part of the Nitro Girls, and that would become its own deal, you know?
Right.
So,
and they were a big part of the show in a very positive way.
Yep, for sure. All right, so we move on from that show. There's no Nitro on April 8th. It's preempted by TNT, not happening, but they do have Nitro on the 15th. Charleston, West Virginia. I know I have. What's that?
Great city.
Yeah, I know I have some fans in Charleston.
Great wrestling fans, Charleston.
And it's you and Sullivan again, but this time it's a handicap match against Hogan. Hogan would win, of course, but this is the big piece to this. This is Hogan's last WCW match, Arn, until he shows up July at Bash at the Beach when he turns heel. This is it right here, April 15th. We're talking history right here now on this show. This point, Hogan had been the same character since 1983. Red and yellow, monster killer, leg drop, pose. In your opinion, was this the time to reinvent himself? Obviously, we know it all worked out and was great. But do you recall at this time going, man, hey, I sense the crowds maybe could be growing a little tired of it. Maybe it needs a refresh. What are your thoughts around this time?
I would never claim to be so smart that I smelled something coming. I thought that Hogan would retire in the red and yellow, just like he had been his entire career, because that's what people at his level do. I mean, it would be like, okay, do you think Bruno was going to switch heel? You know, he never did. There's a lot of people that never did. Sting never did. You know, it's just one of those things that you just didn't see coming. And when he made that move, it was like you saw that audience, the air just went out of the building, and then they started to throw stuff. And when they really realized that, yeah, this is not going to change. This is the way it is. I never saw this coming. By the way, let me ask you something, not to interrupt you. Did he beat us both?
He did. Yeah.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Yeah. Hogan wins, and listen, and then he takes a break, a hiatus. And the next time we do see him, he comes back, and we're going to get there. We're going to cover it here in the next couple months. The Bash at the Beach. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to talk about it. And we'll have lots of questions then. But what about the chat? What did you personally get? Were you tired of Hogan as a babyface? I want to hear your thoughts. Were you ready to see something different? I saw someone just say seeing Hogan as a heel was bad, I think, for wrestling. I don't know about that. I think he needed to do something, but Mediocre Warrior says Sting tried and it failed miserably. Cena tried this year. It was terrible. So I want to hear what you think. I think for Hogan, though, it revitalized his career.
They got away with it because it was well planned and it was well executed. And if it would have just been him on his own, who knows? I don't think so, but who knows?
Yeah, this time he was a gang leader. Yeah.
Yeah. Having Hall and Nash and the baseball bats, you know, they were able to pull it off because he had that strong supporting cast. But if he would have just switched himself individually, don't
Darren
think so.
Staley said, listen, Hogan was done at this time, almost forgotten. This was the perfect call. Everything lined up perfectly. Mediocre Warrior Hogan at this point could have been the attraction babyface, but he ended up being overexposed at this point as a babyface. I mean, there's a lot of credence in that for sure. So, and listen, he had already ran through pretty much every heel.
There's nobody left to beat.
Right. And Ryan, we said the same thing at the same time. Ryan says, I do wonder how close Hogan was. He actually said, I wonder how close he was at backing out of being a heel. I thought you said, I wonder how close he was at running out of heels, but he wonders how close Hogan was backing out at the whole idea of being a heel.
Believe it or not, I think it was his idea.
There was a lot of talk, I think. I think there between Bischoff and Sullivan, it's been well documented on other podcasts and stories. There was a lot of conversation. Andrew said, yeah.
Yeah, I saw something on one of the shows where they were talking to Hogan, or it was Bischoff was talking about that day that they put this together, and he said they hadn't decided. I think they were kicking it around about Sting being the third guy. And Eric said they had a conversation with Hogan, and said Hogan asked him, who's the third guy? And he said, well, we talked about Sting. Who do you think the third guy is? He said, you're looking at him. Paraphrasing, but it was something like that. With no setup conversation before that, I'm sure Eric's teeth fell out.
Well, and Andrew and Ryan both pull up, and I've heard both these things. Sullivan said he had to hold him hostage at the house to make him go through with it. And then Eric has talked about this entire, storyline and on 83 weeks over and over again, this whole conversation as well. So there was a lot going on to make this finally stick and happen for Hogan to go through with this. But my goodness, talk about a blank check for his career. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a big something to consider with the money they had spent on him. If it died and didn't work, then what do you do?
We move on, and Hogan now. And here's another thing about you in Hogan's history, Arn. And I think this is what's been interesting with you lately. You were the last match that Hogan was a part of as a babyface before the change.
I had his last match.
Marinate on that a little bit. You and Sullivan handicap against Hogan. Last match you wrestled in WCW before he then comes back in July. Another piece of history that you're a part of involving Hogan.
Wow. I'll take it.
This is the stuff that I don't think necessarily we all think about. But as we talk through this, it's like, okay, there's another Arn Anderson moment, baby. Unreal.
Wow.
Yeah. Not only did you get to beat him in front of George Steinbrenner, the boss, the team that you once sported on your head, but also you were his last match before he turned. It's incredible. I love walking through your career. Let's talk about April 22nd. It's Nitro, Albany, Georgia. Sting and Luger put their tag and TV title on the line against Flair and Giant, with Flair's world title also up for grabs. Match totally breaks down. Flair throws hot coffee, which, by the way, if you go back and watch these Nitros like I did last week, the hot coffee was the gimmick. Woman was throwing hot coffee in everybody's eyes at the end of every single Nitro on the show. This time, Flair throws hot coffee that's meant for Sting, but Arn, he throws it in the Giant's face. Flair begs for forgiveness. Giant says, no, I'm challenging you for that world heavyweight belt. Flair goes back to where Eric and Heenan are sitting and starts talking trash. I'm not sorry. You want a shot at this belt? You got it, big man. And here we go. It's set for the final Nitro. It's going to be Flair and the Giant for the world title. But there's one other little moment here that I want to touch on. Ric Flair goes over and he kisses a young lady's hand who's starting to be introduced to us sitting at ringside throughout this month. None other than Deborah McMichael. And so that's the spark that eventually brings Deborah, Mongo, and Kevin Green into the fold. But this was her entry point. It was him coming down with Liz and Woman to the ring, them showing her sitting ringside, Flair going over and making a big to-do over her. And that started, Eric and Bobby the Brain jumping on Mongo about what's Flair doing there with your wife. What did you think about them introducing Deborah and this kind of being the entry point to bring her and the football players in?
Well, obviously, I love Mongo. God bless him. He was all man. What a football player he was. And, people that are hard on him don't realize, or maybe they do, and they're just, they look at things differently than we do. But he never had any formal training. A couple of days in the ring, that's it. When Rick and I wrestled him and Kevin Green in that tag match, Mongo had about 4 or 5 hours ring time with just Rick and I, and that's it. That's the only, I thought he did a remarkable job, be honest with you, because he was such a strong personality and just a great guy. And his wife, the camera loved her. She was very, very pretty, very attractive woman. The camera loved her. And if you just look at the pomp and circumstance of the show, it was just kind of added something to it, I think.
And not only that, the camera loved her, but she also found her way in the wrestling business and became very successful. Not only here through this storyline, but transitioned to WWE, run with Jeff Jarrett, and on everything that she did over there. So, but here it was, we're seeing the birth of her, the Deborah character, if you will, for wrestling, right here this month, April 1996. But you got to speak highly of what she was able to then accomplish and do with her own career and the longevity that she had. Got to meet her, by the way, guys, at a WrestleCade a couple years ago, and the nicest person you could ever meet. So it's really cool. As cool as going back to watch this month and see this is kind of how she was brought into this whole into wrestling, honestly, this way. So it was fun.
Yeah, and being with Rick worked. It wouldn't have worked if it was me or Tully.
Sure.
Rick always had, that was his thing, always had the girls around. And, that was something for him to play off of and kept him fresh. And can't go wrong there, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely nice for Rick to make all the comments to, tick off Mongo. I mean, come on, who else can play that like he can? So
yeah, he's a Casanova, that's for sure.
For sure. Let's jump into now that final Nitro in April. It's Daytona Beach, Florida. Rick defends the world title against the Giant, and it doesn't last long. Arn Flair goes for the figure 4. Giant he grabs him by the throat, choke slams him, and just like that, we got a new world champion. Talk to me about the Giant. Did you think at this point, hey, he's ready for the world title? Do you feel like the office believed in the guy at this point? And I don't know, because he wins the title here, but we know just a few months later, NWO's coming in and the whole world changes. Hogan ends up with the belt. It just feels like almost a transitional time period. Do you feel like he deserved more than just what he gets here for this brief time?
Well, yeah, they should have held him off. He should have had a longer run as the champion. Yeah. And the NWO pretty much overrode anything else that was going on. Everything else was a distant second. He was something special. He is something special for, there was one Giant in my estimation, which is Andre. Paul was just over 7 feet tall, 400 pounds, perfectly symmetrical, incredible athlete. Basketball was his thing. Not sure if everybody's up to speed on that, but he played college, basketball. That takes a special kind of athlete. Wichita State, I think, is where he played. But he was just, again, he was a natural for our business. You could lead him, you could teach him, and he was right there. Just, he was a great athlete, loved wrestling. He'll tell you the story about coming to the matches as a 14-year-old down in Columbia, South Carolina, where he's from. He would come to the matches when we'd be in town and be off at a distance. And at 14, he said he was like 6'3", so he was taller than I was at that time. But it was interesting to know that he was a fan and he would watch and he could tell you stuff. And, it was just cool because when he grew up, he damn sure grew up.
Would have loved to, and again, this is my opinion. I'm interested to hear all of your opinion. I know they ended up sucking him into the NWO, right? As they did with many stars back then, as the NWO decided to grow. I felt like, man, he would have been one you could have kept on the side of the good guys and really built that good guy stable around.
Well, you absolutely could have, if you were going to bring him into the fold as just like an enforcer or, something like that, that's a small use of a big talent. He should have been the guy featured. I don't know that you would, like you said, Paul, that you ever had to bring him into the NWO. He would have been the one thing that WCW could have counted on at some point to make things right, and just keep pushing him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he could have been the foundational piece to the WCW component, challenging the NWO, and been a lot of antagonizing and done matches with Nash and Razor and Hogan. And really, you could have really drawn that out because he was that good. He was that athletic. Maybe have a mouthpiece with him. I don't know, but just something a little bit different.
Well,
but
pretty quickly, it got so lopsided when you started adding guys to the NWO. There were players, obviously, and it got lopsided the other way, and suddenly WCW were the underdogs big time.
Yeah, it was obvious. It was less 50-50, and it just became so lopsided, to your point.
You were just praying for us to get a breath of anything.
Yeah,
the WCW guys.
Well, listen, we are wrapping up April 1996. Hogan wrestles his last match as a babyface. Flair drops the title. The Giant is crowned the champion. WCW feels a little unstable, but just weeks later, Scott Hall is going to be walking in the Nitro. Arn, did it feel to you in April that something had to give, that WCW was ready and ripe for a shakeup here?
Yeah, it kind of felt like we needed to switch gears a little bit. I wasn't sure what that was, but it just felt like you needed to switch gears.
Well, switching gears is what's about to happen. Listen, a few more minutes here. Get in your super chat if you have a question. In the meantime, I have a few things that I want to drop on you real quick. Darth Payne, I'm glad you brought this up to me. The dance-off. It was brought up on last show. I sent it to you. You and Stan Lane 37 years ago. Tomorrow is the 37-year anniversary that you did the Stan Lane dance. What did you think when I sent you that video clip that Darth Payne gave me?
Thank God it was a long ways away camera shot. I looked like an ant.
So Marcus put it on social, by the way.
I couldn't embarrass myself that bad. You could barely see me if it's the footage I'm thinking about.
It was good enough. We saw what you were trying to do, and it was a little Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright movement, I thought.
Not that I wasn't a tremendous boogaloo.
You gave John Travolta a run for his money, huh?
It was the boogaloo, my version, and it was not half bad. I don't care what anybody says.
I love it. Ryan says, Arn, you seem like a humble guy, but you deserve so much more credit for your contributions to the industry.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It's I was just fortunate enough to be in a industry that I truly loved, had some aptitude for it, and all these years later, my health has led me to a situation to where I'm still can get around a little bit, and just glad to still be here, part of the business and somewhat relevant.
Well, we're so happy that you're still here telling stories, talking to the fans. This is fantastic. We got a super chat in from Instagram, a wrestling historian. What did you think of the Giant becoming the WCW champion, Arn?
I just knew at some point they had to beat him. It would have been better to hold it off to later on, kept him over a special attraction off to the side for me. He deserved
more. A bigger moment.
Yeah. He deserved his own single push when You know, if it would have been 6 months down the road, who knows, a year down the road, and you need something fresh, let him earn a title shot somehow.
Especially if you have the foresight of the NWO coming, and like I said, he's never won the belt, and then you can really build to a massive event where he's never won it before.
For sure.
Yeah, I like that. Ryan again said, Arn, have you heard the story of Hogan and Savage telling Giant to carry the title belt around the airport? And Sting was like, listen, they're ribbing you, man. Have you heard that story?
Yeah. I'm sure that happened.
Yeah.
And if it's Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage telling you to do it, who would know different?
Yeah.
Do what they say, right?
That's right. Listen, Hogan
top
helped
guys
him.
in the business. They can't be steering him wrong. I'm sure he didn't know what ribbing was in those days.
CG says, I'm glad you're still here with us, Arn. This truly, these past few years has been the thrill of a lifetime for me as an Arn Anderson fan since 1985. So
very kind of you, sir. The pleasure is all mine. Thanks for remembering.
I thought you were going to say the pleasure is all yours in classic Arn Anderson fashion.
Too easy.
Guys, listen, big important announcement as we wrap up the show tonight. Normally we're a Tuesday night show. In September, at the end of this month, we are going to be a Monday night show. Monday, September 29th, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be Ask Arn Almost Anything. All right. Monday. We have to do it on Monday versus Tuesday. Have a prior commitment that 30th. So will we get a Smokey run in, Rob Hissam? We will see. We can't make any promises. It depends on Smokey's mood, quite frankly. We'll see if he's ready to make an appearance. Smokey can be a little uppity, a little diva, from what Arn says.
Yes.
So
your guess as good as mine.
Monday night Arn. That's right. 6:05 is what the Mediocre Warrior is asking for. Just be here around 6. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. We'll be playing that Arn theme music. Scotty Reed says, thank you for using my question last week. Would it be too much to get a shout out from my brothers at Tennessee, All Pro Wrestling in Morrison, Tennessee? No, Scotty Reed, we will give them a shout out right now to your brothers at Tennessee All Pro Wrestling.
Hello, guys. Is Tim Warner part of this at all? I know that's his home. He still lives there.
Morrison, Tennessee.
Morristown, right?
He said Morrison, Tennessee, so I don't know.
Oh, it's Morrison. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Tim is Morristown.
Okay.
So that may be totally different.
Gotcha. Yeah, Rob, Arn will be on before Raw, so no worries there being late to but the Monday Night Wars are back. Oh my goodness. Listen, we appreciate all of you for being here this evening. Arn, thank you so much for great stories. We'll be back Monday, September 29th, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll remind you on social media. Arn, thank you so much for doing this with me again, my friend.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being my family.
There you go.
Now, Paul.
What's that?
And yours too.
That's right. They are.
They're my family
too. That's right. On behalf of the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, this is Paul Bromwell. We'll see you right back here Monday, September 29th on Arn